Good evening and welcome to the November 6, 2024. Yes. Welcome to the November 6, 2024 study session of Livonia City Council. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Honorable Scott Morgan, who is in the back. You want to lead us? You want to do the Pledge of Allegiance? Come on, Lucas. Pop it. Yeah. You can bring the candy. I mean, this is impromptu. Right here, Lucas. Right here. Come right here. Stand right here.
In lieu of Scott Morgan, we now have.
And then you want to start us? Do the honor?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job.
Great job. Great. Look at that. Now you got the candy and everything, right?
Jeez.
All right. Scott, perfect timing. We just figured we'll just start it.
Good job,
I think
Lucas.
You had a really nice replacement.
Yes, he did. He's got candy. All right. This meeting sets the agenda for the 2005 era of the regular meeting of City Council, which is a voting meeting that will take place on Monday, November 18th, where tonight's items will be officially voted on. No council absences. I'm going to jump right into audience communication for items that are not currently on the agenda. Do we have any? Seeing none, I'm going to jump over to council announcements. Do we have any more? Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was unfortunately late for the regular because I was at parent-teacher conferences tonight as a teacher, so I appreciate you indulging me now. I just wanted to give a quick shout out. It's my mother's birthday, and I would be remiss if I were not to wish her a happy birthday on Monday. I won't tell her age, but she's getting up there, so she'll be excited to get the shout out. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday. Anything else from council? Seeing none, let's jump right in to new business. Item number one is a request for designation as a nonprofit organization. This comes to us from Zeal Credit Union Foundation, as required by the state of Michigan to obtain a charitable gaming license to allow a raffle fundraiser in the future. Do we have members? Good evening. If you could put your name and address for the record.
I'm Paula Piccinini. I represent Zeal Credit Union, and we're at 17250 Newburgh in Livonia.
Perfect. And this is going to be, you have a fundraiser in the future?
Yes.
Let us know. Obviously, I'll open it up to the colleagues, but if there's anything that we can help you with, I know you guys have been great community partners.
Thank you so
let us know.
much. Yes, this is an in-house raffle. We have a holiday party.
Yeah.
For our employees, and this would be a raffle where our vendor partners and the credit union itself donate prizes, and the employees have the opportunity to buy raffle tickets and put them in the baskets to win prizes.
You should have them for the next year to do this, to come to this meeting and have to wait until the item is called.
Yeah, whoever doesn't win anything gets to come to the city council.
The winner or the loser?
Mr. President, it's great to hear what they're doing and rewarding the employees. So I will be happy to offer an approving for the consent agenda. Thanks a lot for coming out and for waiting.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Anything else from council? Seeing none, anything from the audience? Seeing none. Your matter is all but assured to pass. Good luck. Have fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think you have to do that again. I don't know. Do you have to do a gaming license request every time or no? Then maybe we'll see you again.
Each year we apply, but now that we've been recognized by City Council, we won't need to do this part.
Well, it's good to see you.
Thank you so much. Good
Have
to
a
see
great
you.
night.
Chair, I thought you did.
Learn something new every day, huh?
I guess so.
Item number 2 is request to waive the sealed bid process and award a contract. This comes to us from Livonia Fire and Rescue for professional service agreements for emergency medical transportation billing from budgeted funds. Chief Jennison, good evening.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Council members. The fire department is contracted with for professional services for emergency medical billing, our transport billing with Acumed for about 10 years now. That contract is due to expire in the next couple of months. Subsequently, Acumed was acquired by a new company, EMS Management Consultants, EMSMC. They retain the same staff, we have the same people, the same services, if not better, and we're able to negotiate a better rate also, our billing rate from 5.9 to 5.19 per amount collected by Acumed for us. So EMSMC is proposing an extension of the current 5-year contract to another 3-year contract with 3 additional 1-year potentials after that either one of the parties want to back out, they just got to give 60-day notice. Again, I told you what the amount was. We've had good success with the MSMC so far. We've already changed over their billing platform. They offer up to a 98% collection fee, so it's very good for us. So it's our recommendation that council allow the fire chief and the finance director to go ahead and execute this contract.
Thanks, Chief. Vice President?
Thank you, Mr. President. Did I hear that you're negotiated a better cost? Oh, approving on consent.
There you go. We're going to approve on consent. Anything further from council? Anything from the audience? Okay, are you good, Councilman Warner? Perfect. All right, Chief, you've got that one. Do we have another one with you?
Thank you very much. That's all for this one.
Good to see you.
Good to see you all. Thank you.
Anybody in the audience have any issues with that? All right. Moving on to item number 3. Request to accept a U.S. Department of Justice 2024 Justice Assistant Grant in conjunction with Wayne County Department of Homeland Security. Comes to us from the Division of Police to purchase law enforcement equipment. No matching funds are required. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Council President, members of council. Brian Kahn, Director of Emergency Management and Homeland Security for the City of Livonia, on behalf of Chief Goralski. Requesting authorization to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Wayne County Department of Homeland Security. This would be to accept $13,608 in grant funding for the police department under the U.S. Department of Justice's Burden Justice Assistance Grant. The funding is awarded in conjunction with the joint application that's submitted by Wayne County Department of Homeland Security, and it will be managed and administered by Wayne County Sheriff's Department. The funds are eligible for law enforcement equipment that may include computers, officer safety equipment, planning, evaluation, technology, and so forth with this. There are no matching funds that are required for this.
Wonderful. Councilman Morgan.
Yep, I'd like to offer an approval on consent.
Oh, anything else from council? Anything from the audience? Mr. Khan, your items on consent. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Appreciate it. Have a very nice night.
Moving on to item number 4 is an award of bid. Comes to us from the Livonia Housing Commission for the tree removal and tree trimming at Silver Village from budgeted funds. Good evening.
Good evening. Jim Ingles from the Livonia Housing Commission. Silver Village was built in 1976, and we have a lot of mature trees. Some are close to 9 to 10 feet in diameter. In the last 2 years, we've had 3 of our buildings hit by falling trees and branches. There's 19 residential buildings on that property, so we want to remove some of those really large trees that are too close to our buildings to protect our residents and also make sure these trees don't fall on their vehicles or on the ring road. In addition, there's Scope B, which is a trimming of an additional 21 trees just to bring them up so that they are away from the building and keeping those branches away from the buildings, the residential buildings specifically. So the amount of the bid is $24,200 for the removal of the base trees, and Scope B is the trimming at $7,800. Total is $32,000 from a Livonia contractor, Ashton Tree Service.
Awesome. Thank you. Councilman Donovan.
Thanks, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Ingles, for being here this evening. I know we're talking about Silver Village specifically. Was there any thought about trying to get maybe better pricing by cutting the trees down over on the Newburgh site where we're going to be expanding pretty soon? Because I know there's some trees that need to come down there.
Yes. As a matter of fact, we have already awarded a contract to trim the trees in the north and south Capitol Court on the right-of-way on the outside of those buildings. Mm-hmm. And then we are in the process of bringing to you some proposals to tear down or remove the trees on the expansion site as well.
Okay, and this won't be the same company, though?
I'm sure Ashton will be in the bid process. They're a really good contractor. We've used them before.
Okay, I'd like to offer improving on consent. There's no objection from my colleagues.
Sounds good. Anything else from council? Any questions, discussion? We've approved it on consent. Anything from the audience? You have an approved on consent.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 5 is a request for authorization to purchase one air-cooled chiller. This comes to us from the Department of Public Works for the installation at the Livonia Police Department from budgeted funds. Good evening again.
Good evening. I'm standing in for Don. Like we had done with the library, we're looking for the approval to purchase the chiller equipment individually from the actual installation contract. The lead time on the chiller right now is around 22 weeks. The consultant engineering is working on the plans for the installation, but they have given us the specs for the chiller, and so we'd like to have that ready by the time the construction contracts are awarded and ready to be put in the ground in the spring. The existing chiller at the police station has outlived its useful life. It's constantly leaking, and the equipment is hard to service. So they're going to be replacing boiler and chiller, and right now we'd just like approval to purchase the chiller from Trane for $132,645.
Vice President?
Thank you, Mr. President. So I guess I have a couple questions regarding this purchase. So we're looking at almost a 6-month lead time by the time we purchase and install, but I guess why would we be doing this if we're going to possibly be moving LPD?
Well, not knowing the exact time frame for the moving of and when the building will be ready, there would be temporary chiller costs like we had to do with the library, to the point where roughly $120,000 a year just for the rental equipment for 2 or 3 years, and in the end we can work to reuse some of the equipment that we're purchasing now because it'll be new and up to current standards.
So I guess that was my follow-up. So if we were to purchase this, use it at
That would-
headquarters now, a couple years from now, we could move it to another facility?
That's what we would envision trying to do without knowing the new building specs in all the details, because it hasn't been hashed out yet. I couldn't say for sure, but we would look to try and do that, yes.
Are there any possible like resale opportunities even for I don't know. That's why I guess I'm asking.
Well,
before we kind of allocate this kind of money.
Yeah. The existing one, no, because it runs on a refrigerant that's not available.
No, I'm talking if we were to purchase
the new one. Yes, there's always a resale market. It's just finding the correct building situation for it. Most likely, if they're building the same size facility, they would be able to rework this and be able to probably repurpose it for the newer one.
I guess that's of course I want them to be comfortable and have a chiller over there, but at the same time I take pause at spending this kind of money when we know that this building's going to go down pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, all right, thank you.
I will just chime in if I may, and I know you're standing in, so I will not. I just I'm just kind of throwing it out there.
Fine.
This kind of takes us back to the library where we had the chiller ordered, and then we had an extreme amount of money that we had to pay for the piping. And that's the one that we had a little bit of awkward turtles where I wanted to throw it in committee. My issue right now, and this is nothing against anything, is the chiller, the price, it's $132,000. It's great. You're getting a Trane unit. Yeah. The issue becomes is R22, if anybody knows about refrigerant, every year they phase out different refrigerants. So R22 is a thing of the past. To get a 30-pound jug of this, I mean, you're talking thousands of dollars. So the costs are extremely, and as the EPA phases these things out, the cost gets worse and worse, and they don't make anything left. It's like a stock market for Freon. So I sympathize to that, and I hate deferring things. However, my issue is I'm not going to see, I mean, are we going to have to repipe? This is going to probably R435 or the new Freon. So my issue is as much as I don't like putting perfume on stuff, if we're talking a capital improvement down the line that is in with the next 5 years, is there any chance to Band-Aid this thing to get us by? That would be my biggest question. I mean, we're talking development, and I can probably tell you that chillers are like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but they're like kitchen cabinets. You can look at them and say, hey, those are going to fit in my house, but they don't. You have to order different filler pieces. And as well as I do, this thing would be sold probably on the second market and maybe U.S. Gov for $20,000 down the down. I mean, you still potentially could get something for it, but it's not advantageous. So I just want to put that on record. My worry is what's coming next with the design, because it could be to repipe the entire building that we're going to replace. Just letting you know. Councilman Donovan.
Mr. President, I will just note real quick that I know Council President just mentioned about Freon, and not to go on a tangent here, but this is typical federal government. the EPA is mandating all these standards, and now your AC units no longer can be used because somebody at the EPA thought it was a good idea to phase out what we are currently using, and now we as local taxpayers have to feel the burden of it, and changing units, and even us as homeowners, they're saying that these older units are no longer being able to be used, and you have to get a whole new furnace to make them compatible with the new condensing units, and it's really tough. So I know when my council president mentions that, it is true. I mean, this is the federal government changing things to change things, and now we have to feel that burden. So, I'll defer to my colleagues on this, but I just wanted to add that. Thank you,
Councilman
Mr. President.
Morgan.
Yeah, Mr. Lear, is this the chiller that has been up there for, 20 years or 25 years, and it's been leaking through the roof, and we have these big issues where it's puddling and...
Yeah, it's the old one that's basically been patched over and over again every time it leaks. And as well as the chiller, there will be boiler replacements as well. They are going to be coming back with those contract or in the next month or so as well, once they get the drawings done. So that's, in general, it's a replacement for the whole system, not just the chiller portion.
So what you're doing is you're just trying to, patch the Band-Aid until we get out of that building. That's the plan, correct?
Well, it's gotten to a point where, like President McCullough had mentioned, trying to find the R-22 to patch the existing one is becoming infeasible. I think at your next point, you're either rolling in the rental to keep it running for 2 or 3 years until they figure out what's going on and have the new one built. If you don't basically replace with something that'll work for a long time.
Okay. So I guess my thought on this is that, before we even decide to tear that building down and replace it, we're looking probably at least 5 years. It wouldn't be reasonable to say, yeah, you can't have air conditioning, and with the boiler and stuff like that would cut them out of heat. So we have to keep the building functional until the time we move. So I guess I'll offer an approving on the regular.
That's fine. Vice President.
Mr. President, if I may, I would like to offer a substitute motion, maybe, possibly. I'd like to throw this into committee of the whole so that we could have some discussion and have some opportunity for alternate ideas on this. Maybe by then we can also get a timeline on what we're looking at as far as the move. We have a little bit of time. It's a tough call, and I think we need to have some discussion on this.
Mr. President, trying to keep this, because I know Councilman Morgan just mentioned, we got to take care of employees.
We do.
And it's going to be 5 years easily before we have a new PD and these folks are working in an operable building.
From the court.
Can we work on scheduling this ASAP? But with that being said,
100%.
Mr. President,
Yep.
can the administration, can you guys, to your point, now you're talking about enhancements to the boiler system as well. Kind of like I was referring to earlier, you can't just change condensers units and not change the rest of the units because of the good old-fashioned federal government. Anyways, could you bring us information about, hey, it's not going to just be this $100,000 or so, it's going to be also additional boiler units. So we kind of have the better picture. So at least when we're making the decision, we know it's not just going to be one unit. It's going to be all these other underlying issues that have to be addressed. If we can get that scheduled fast, maybe.
Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you. I guess that's what
Councilwoman Budzinski after.
That's kind of what I was saying too. If we can go to committee of the whole, maybe get a comprehensive plan at what we're actually looking at, whether it's a 2-year plan, 3-year plan, whatever, and then hopefully we'll have more of a timeline from capital improvement as well. Thank you.
Councilwoman Budzinski.
I was basically going to say the same thing, that if we could have a comprehensive cost estimate for what this project would look like, and even really comparison to if, the administration is very committed to moving forward with the Civic Center project. The new police station is a key component on that, with the aggressive timeline with everything else. So, what are the cost comparatives if we end up having to rent a chiller? Obviously, we know how that system works. We've done it for years at the library, again, and it seemed to have worked efficiently for the comfort of patrons and staff. perhaps that could be done at the police department at a cost savings. I don't know, but if we go to committee, I think there'd be.
Yes. Floor is yours.
Oh, thanks.
Welcome.
If I may, does anybody have any insight where this new police station's going? Do we even have a
It's
plan
replacing
for
the
the
court.
sites? I know it's it's replacing the court.
Yes,
That's right.
now that,
I think we just paid a bunch of city planners to build out this campus and give us an idea of where things are going to be.
Oh, that's true.
So
That's true.
to be determined.
To be determined. Okay, so we don't really know if it's 5 years or 7 years or 100 years, right? Yeah, so we have an approving, he has an approving, and we have a committee of the whole,
Yep,
correct?
Yep.
Okay.
So we got two motions.
Just clear, that's all.
Mr. Lear, I think and maybe I could sum this up too, is it's, and I know you're just the messenger, so we're not gonna go after you too hard on this, but it seems like it's like a lot of piecemeals. And, we're gonna have the boilers, we'll have this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I understand the logic of ordering the chiller ahead because you're gonna have immense lead times. That makes perfect sense. But going back to when I had the issue about the 400,000 worth of piping, I just want to know what we're doing. Listen, I agree with you guys. We want to make sure our employees have the best working environment. So if that's the situation, we can chalk it up to say, hey, we're moving on with the facilities manager. We're taking steps. We have a process in place. And at the end of the day, we don't want our employees to suffer beyond it.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
cool. Councilman Morgan.
Yeah, just one other thing. It's not just, yes, of course, we care about our employees and want to make sure they're comfortable, but that's not just the bottom line to that. We have computer equipment, we have a lot of things in there that need to stay cool and maintained at a certain temperature level, and when this thing goes out, it's a problem. That's why if we're looking 6 months out, that's something that we probably should be on post haste, because it's just something that needs to be done.
Council President?
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Is there I'll defer to my colleague first.
Oh, no, all I was going to say to that point that I was making earlier about where things are going to be, we don't know, you know what I mean? And I don't want to, I think the committee of the whole is a good idea, don't get me wrong and all that, but my concern is if we delay a lot of these buildings in the site and wait for us to catch up on this, I probably won't be here after all this, thank goodness, and all I'm saying is, you guys are gonna have to deal with, when are those gonna be put in? All the work delays. And yet, of course, now we can approve, or coming up, less than the 100,000 and all that, so, it'll be a good thing, don't get me wrong, I'm just saying.
In whatever way, if it goes into committee, I can assure you that we will add this quick and discuss
Okay,
it. I
good.
promise.
Thank
Mr.
you.
President,
Yes.
is there a scenario to either a parliamentary or city attorney where, to my colleague's point, we still want to get this order and move forward, and I assume, regardless of what we discuss at the committee, we're probably going to approve this because, to their point, it's going to be years before this happens, and we need to make sure these people are working adequate working environment, and to your Councilman Morgan's point, the equipment there is in a properly controlled room. Could we essentially vote on both? We still have a committee meeting, but we still approve this so that the administration can order this material and get it ordered? We still have a committee meeting to talk about it at a grander scope. Is that possible?
Yeah, and you know what, maybe even make this, and Mr. Lear, I don't know if this is fast enough that you could, but can you share the scope of, the scope of the project in its entirety?
They are still hashing out all the final details and drawings on the piping and
maybe not
things,
even
but
the
it's
specific
basically
piping.
going to be a complete
Yeah.
chiller, boiler replacement, and associated piping with it.
Hot water plant, circ pumps, all
Yes.
of it. DDC is going to be incorporated, so this is an all in it.
It is.
So I think it's important to note here that anything can happen down the road too, so we have to prepare for what we can control now in regards to the.
True.
There's other people in that building as well who are not employees who we have a duty to care for as well sometimes, right? So I just think we've learned with the pandemic and things of this nature and the economy and all these other kind of things, and some of these building projects are dependent on other things that will be decided by the public and all this kind of stuff. So to be honest with you, I think it's one of these things where we go forward with it right now and understand that as much as we want to be responsible financially as a city, oftentimes we are taking care of problems that we were left with and things that, for whatever reason, we did not have the availability or the mindset to take care of when they probably should have been 15 years ago or who knows when, right? So I think we just go ahead and we do it, and honestly, sometimes You gotta
can withdraw.
take the pain, and
Listen,
it's
this
just
is-
what you gotta do. And I mean, again, we saw that with City Hall here.
Yeah.
We had employees working in a 105-degree City Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, we gotta do everything we can to avoid that.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's just yeah. And I appreciate knowing that the project's an all-in, it makes it a little bit more palatable because, yes, no, I agree with you. I'm sitting here laughing because if I'm the other side looking at it and deferring stuff is the worst thing, so I digress.
Yeah, so if we move forward with this approving, opposed to doing even a committee of the whole, could we regularly have capital outlay meetings to talk about the Civic Center? I think you might even already have one scheduled, where we just kind of talk about future investment needs for the police department, or other buildings in this area that we're hoping won't be here for the very long term, opposed to creating more barriers in meetings.
And we just approved the CIP person for finance, so these are things, it's just frustrating for the point, and I know you're just coming to the podium, so right now we do have two motions.
Mr. President?
Yes.
At this time, I will remove my motion to send this to committee of the whole, with knowing that we can talk about this at the Capital Improvements Committee meeting. And also at that point, we will have hopefully our new facilities manager to walk us through some of this.
Would you be fine to put that on consent, or no? I mean, I think it's already in
I
there.
think it's already in there. I think we're good.
Would, who was the original motion maker? Would you want to
Morgan.
put that on consent?
We can put it on consent, that's fine, if
Okay.
everybody's comfortable with
Everybody's
that.
cool with that? All right, cool. All right, it's on consent. Anything from the audience? Lucas, do you have anything for that one? Nope, okay. Anybody else?
Mr. President, can you please get us that information, though, that, to your point, originally we thought this was just a AC unit, now it's turned into everything. Can you get that information to council?
Yeah, we can, I'm not sure, I thought he had put the scope of the project that OHM was designing in the packet, but we can get you the specs on everything that they're designing for, and kind of share as far as how far they've gotten, maybe a cost estimates as well.
Thank you, sir. Nice tie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have an approving on consent for that. We're going to move on to item number 6. Is a request for the additions to the local street system for the 2025 Act 51 computation. Come to us from the Engineering Division for streets and portions newly opened in 2024.
Thank you, President McCullough.
Yes.
And council members. As you know, every year we can add to our Act 51 network. Right now we have 373.61 miles. As you know, we had Emerson Oaks development at the corner of Harrison and West Chicago, and Linden Park at Harrison and Linden. With these streets there, Dooley, Fountain View, Nova, Emerson Court, and Tulipwood, it provides a total amount of just over 2,000 lineal feet, or equates to 0.38 miles that will be added to our networks. As you know, when we get funding from the state, Act 51 funding, that'll help in our MTF payments that we get in the future for winter maintenance and other things. So looking for your approval to then go ahead and provide basically these street additions that'll be added to the Act 51 map for 2025. And if any further questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Zelinski. Council?
Mr. Chair, I'll
Yes.
move approving.
Consent or regular?
Consent, please.
Is the council good with that? Any other comments from council? Anything from the audience? All right. Let's move on to item number 7, is a request to approve an intergovernmental agreement between the Michigan Department of Transportation and the City of Livonia. Comes to us from the Engineering Division for bridge replacement and road reconstruction of Old Highway M14. Is that the main, is it Old Highway?
Ann Arbor Road, yep.
All
at
right.
Newburgh.
Take it away.
This has been over 10 years in the making. We are blessed finally to see that it come to fruition with the help of MDOT funding. The project itself is $21.5 million plus the construction engineering. I have tonight with me Jeff Horn from MDOT Project Manager, Taylor TSC. He's been very instrumental in the recent projects in the corridor with 275. But just want to go over briefly what's going to take place. As you all know, this has been talked about for a long time, of removing the Hines Road Bridge superstructure, replacing that structure that was limited to, I think, 13 foot 7 inches. The bridge to the west of it, the substructure there, to be moved and replaced. It's been coal patched. It's been Band-Aid method. You talk about a chiller. This one's even worse. So they've been trying to get that done. They've done some paving in the interim to try to keep this together. But the best part about it is they're going to improve the intersection of Ann Arbor Road with a new signal, and then up at Marketplace and Plymouth Road, at Ann Arbor Road too. But with that, we're looking for city council approval in the amount of $727, $300, and then basically sign the agreement, the IGA. Basically, since we're a community over 50,000, we have to participate in this agreement for an Act 51 agency at the price of 12.5%. And the three of the parts, we also are providing some street lighting underneath the bridge, obviously for safety. There's going to be a sidewalk on the north side, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jeff to give you more details of the upcoming implications from this project. As we all know, this corridor is well in the need of getting replaced, reconditioned, especially now that 275 is complete, and that we have this opportunity to then make this really a better and improved intersection for all. So with that, Jeff, I'll take it over.
Thank you, Todd. So you gave an excellent summary of the project. I'll go into the schedule. So our plan is to shut down Old M14 Ann Arbor Road January 6th, and that's going to be shut down until roughly mid to late November. We need to shut down the roadway. We need to demolish the bridge, Old M14 over the Middle Rouge River. We have to build a cofferdam in there by February 28th. So we have to demolish the bridge, build a cofferdam, all by February 28th. That's due to Eagle fish restriction window. So we have 4 months where we cannot work in the Middle Rouge River. So it's imperative that we get this agreement signed to the contractor, awarded, so they can start work. So it's only $21.5 million compared to our large hundreds of millions of dollars projects. But this is a very complicated job with the cofferdam, the two bridges, retaining wall.
That's all.
And fish.
Got to maintain the fish. Yep. So we're asking for your approval for the Act 51 agreement.
Council?
Mr. President, I got
Yes.
a question.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for being here. Something I heard from a resident, there is a bridge at Merriman in Westland that's been closed down for 2 years.
Yes.
I mean, I know you never know what's going to happen with construction. Do you foresee a scenario where this road's going to be closed down for, I mean, Merriman's been closed down for 2 years now. Do you foresee that kind of situation happening here?
No, and I sorry for laughing. It was no. I have been assured by the engineering team that will be open by Thanksgiving. So that will be open by Thanksgiving. That is the Wayne County's managing that project. Mm-hmm. We are only ensuring that they spend their money per federal standards. So MDOT has little to no control over that Merriman Bridge. But I've been assured that that's going to reopen by Thanksgiving. Wayne Road is going to shut down December 2nd, I believe. So that's going to run concurrently, I think, for what, 6 months, Todd? To a year?
Till November, almost 11 months.
So yes, I do not see a scenario where Merriman will be shut down and Old M14 will be shut down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this is Livonia. We don't want that happening here.
If I may interject, Dan's Excavating is the contractor that won this award. As you know, they're a big company all around this.
They just got done with
this
96.
area. Yes, and then again, that was through Wayne County. This is MDOT controlled project itself. Not to say anything else, things do happen, but at the end of the day, they have, as you know, Dan's finished 2014, finished I-96 ahead of schedule. Started in April and could finish by just before Labor Day. So I think there's confidence that these guys, again, can get the job done. We've worked together well in the past, and our goal is, again, we want to get it opened up because we have federal funds to finish Newburgh Road from Ann Arbor Trail to reconstruct it all the way up to just before Plymouth Road with new signals there too.
Is there incentives on this or liquidated? Because Dan's always rocks, man. They will get it done.
Yeah, there is no incentive. The incentive is not to get a disincentive. So
just make sure. Fair enough.
That's your incentive.
Well, I'll offer an approving on consent. I guess my only ask to you is, I don't know if this is in your wheelhouse, but there's been that stack of barriers that's been sitting on 275 just north of 96 for years now. It seems like, and you removed half of them, but there's still a pile of them out there. Those massive concrete barriers with an excavator out there. Any way you guys can just get rid of that eyesore for? I mean, I know they're probably there for some strategic purpose, but they're all kind of stored there.
That's where that's where we make our tickets.
But I guess
right
since we got you, that'd be great if you could maybe figure out. I mean, there must be 50 of them still sitting out there.
So those barriers were used on 275 for the reconstruction.
Right.
They were placed there because we have M14 coming up. So they are utilizing those barriers for M14. So we could ask the contractor to take them back home to Shelby Township, only to bring them back out, but that's a lot of travel costs and.
Can't you just move to the Plymouth Township side over there?
I mean, it's a wide median. I mean, is there something like maybe we scrunch them higher in or?
I'm just being nitpicky.
But they are going on M14.
I'm sure there's a shopping cart down there someplace.
Oh, listen, Matt, no, let's end it. Let's end it. I love it. All right, well, we have it approved it on consent for right now until Mr. Donovic removes it. Anything else from council? Anything from the audience? I do have one last thing, and I promise you, just put on the feeler, and you guys probably already are, but with all the development on 6 and 7 Mile, in theory, on Haggerty that's coming up, you know how we've brought in the pedestrian crossing at 5 Mile, which is a great. Maybe add that wish list for 6 and 7, just to get us across.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And Todd and I talked about 6 Mile probably 3-4 years ago when we did 275.
Just give me a couple $1 million, we'll be happy to do it.
I know.
There are grants out there, but there are grants out
We
there.
talked about it in several occasions. We'd like to get that at least one side.
Just thinking of all the stuff, especially, I mean, we've got,
96 is where I would say to connect south and north.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the
Just a
Stark
couple million
Road,
there.
the Bike Walk, Livonia, Farmington.
Jeff and I have had a conversation that Stark and 96, which was designated part of the bike walk plan, along with talking about on the north side of 6 Mile Road, where the goat path is at. But again, it takes time, it takes money, it takes effort, and priorities. So this is a big ask for 727. $300 to start there and work our way north.
Just a wish list. Just a wish list.
We're trying to build our roads so we don't have to shut down a road for safety.
Out of anything that Rob brought up, I'm worried about the fish. All right, let's get done. Well, you've been approved on consent. Thanks for hanging out with us. And we're gonna move on to what are we on? Item number 8. Request to authorize an appropriation expenditure. This comes to us from the engineering division for the installation of streetlights along Ann Arbor Road from Plymouth Road to Newburgh. Mr. Zalesik.
As you know, we just talked about the project itself. We want to make sure we extend the street lighting from the corner of where the Supernatural residence is at, the bar there, that used to be the old Herc's, heading west to Ann Arbor Road to have it illuminated. Again, we talked about there's going to be a sidewalk on the north side. There'll be street lighting on both sides, but then it'll have connectivity to the Wayne County Park on the south side and have a sidewalk at the corner of Ann Arbor Road and Newburgh Road. So hopefully clean up the intersection, have illumination, it's safe for people to walk. Right now, people are walking on that road with no lights. It's very dangerous, whatever. I'm afraid somebody's gonna get hurt. But again, part of that will be part of PRDA funding, and the other part will be the other funding that's designated in this city council letter. So if any further questions, I'd be happy to answer those. But looking for the city clerk to sign this and then give the, obviously a check to the DT folks as they work forward to proceed taking some of the lights down. Will be taken in the interim down there by Marketplace and just before the hotel. They'll be salvaged at our location and brought back out with the remaining new lights being installed when the project is complete.
Sounds good. Council?
So moved.
Consent, fine?
Sure, yes.
Council, is that fine?
Light it up.
Audience, any issues? All right, we're going to move on to item number 9. Is a request to approve the 2025 road repair program. Comes to us from the engineering division, as reviewed by the Citizens Advisory Committee on Roads for the 3rd year of the 10-year paving millage approved by the Livonia residents. Mr. Zalesik.
This year we had a meeting on October 3rd, invited the residents or commercial business owners to come and talk about any concerns they had. I think we had about 7 people that attended. Basically it boils down to, I think every year we're getting better and better as far as less roads that are in bad or worse condition. But again, we do asset management approach. We're looking at doing at 45 segments there, approximately, I believe, 25 are concrete and 20 are asphalt. So we're going to spend just over about $10 million to fix our roads. Again, looking for your approval based on the resolution to move forward based on the budget. It was just approved, I think, at the last council meeting to go ahead and move forward with the reconstruction of the roads, which is our contract 25C, our asphalt program 25A with OHM, and then obviously our 25J, our selective slab program, that DPW and engineering get a list of which we do 25 locations. And again, we're going to look at attacking Schoolcraft Road because the last time we touched it was back in 2014. With that, just looking for your approval to move forward. And I also provided a list of locations of where other projects Wayne County and MDOT are at in the letter.
Sounds good. Councilman Jolly.
Mr. President, I'm happy at this time to offer an approving for consent. Given this might be the last, this will be the last time I ever consider this. I just want to congratulate Todd and everybody involved in this program. This is one of these things where Livonia has a millage, and the dollars are seen to be put at work consistently year after year. And this is, I know, when I came into council, it was said to be a model for all communities, right? I think I've heard that from those two guys back there, right? But I mean, it's really amazing to sit here and hear about this and see the plan, and then see year after year it comes to fruition. The projects are done in the neighborhoods, on the roadways, and I just want to congratulate you. And I think this is one of the best assets that Livonia has for its taxpayers and its residents. So thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman Dodd. I just want to say it's a team effort. We can't do it alone. We actually go out, we do ratings every 2 years. We have a better understanding of what takes place on the roads. But again, it's a team effort. Not done by one person, done by OHM, AEW, our residents. Everybody tells us where the problems are at. If we have any inspection out there, but again, they tell us too also to fix these problems, and we look forward to, again, spending the money wisely and making sure we spend every tax dollar appropriately and maximize our dollars for them.
9 years ago, you on the telephone explained to me what a PACER rating was. So, I mean,
we want a 10.
Listen, full circuit education here, okay? So, congrats, thank you.
Thank you.
What is it?
Excellent.
They assign a number about how bad the roads are.
How do they do it? Listen,
by
I
looking at
learned. Up until this year, I thought it was a fancy machine, like a fancy like Google van going around, and then I learned that it's counting the cracks in the road. Oh, sorry.
We have arguments in the car with 3 people. Trust me, it gets. Somebody has to be the tiebreaker sometimes on the ratings.
Touche.
It's like paper rock scissors, like 4. It's a 4.
Whoever's working the keyboard, don't tell anybody.
That was great. All right, we've been approving on consent. Are we good, colleagues? Mm-hmm. Audience? All right, we're moving on to item number 10, is a request to amend the engineering contract through the QBS process with OHM for design engineering services for the 2025 asphalt road program, contract 25-A, engineering division. Mr. Zlinczyk.
Yes, we're looking at doing the asphalt program in 2025. We're looking at approximately 20 street segments, of which 10 are basically significant in Section 31, which we delayed from last year. We were aggressive, but again, a lot of that stuff was done back in the early days of 2003, 2004, where we had micro resurfacing, where over time they've cracked. People have lots of transverse cracks. It's very bumpy. So we're looking forward to going to Section 31 and doing those street segments along with others. Again, OHM, I think Mark should have a name street after him after all the 30 years of experience he's had with this program. Since 2002, he's been with this program and done a lot of street paving with their asphalt program. So I want to say Mark's been very instrumental over those years here to facilitate these asphalt repairs, does a great job, always finds a way to fit or change out roads if we have to. Last year we had Bloomfield with the water main. We swapped them out. Always aggressive, so I appreciate his efforts and OHM's team with their inspection to make sure that we get this project done. Asking for your approval for design in the amount of $107,500. He did do a reduction because some of the projects were designed last year. Again, we're getting the benefit of their expertise at a reduced rate.
Thank you. Councilman Donovic.
Thanks, Mr. President. OHM does a phenomenal job. They know just about every single street and sidewalk and just road in general in our community. So I'd like to offer improving on consent with no objection from my colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. Donovic. Anything else? Discussion? Anything from the audience? All right. Moving on to item number 11 is a request to amend the engineering contract through the qualification-based selection process, the QBS, with AEW for design engineering services for the 2025 concrete road program from the engineering division. Mr. Zlinczyk.
Again, we have Scott Lockwood here, Executive Vice President from AEW. He's been with us since 2008. Again, his team, inspection, concrete, obviously streets are more difficult. They're more painful for residents to have to deal with, having their street disrupted for 4 to 6 weeks, whatever. But his team does a great job of trying to get in, get out, and get these people back to normalcy throughout the year from April to November. But I want to, again, look at completing 21 street segments with the amount of, I think it's just over $4.5 million also. With their design contract, looking for your approval in the amount of $193,500. Again, it's based on the contract amount of $4.5 million.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President, they do a fine job. They get in, get out, and we appreciate that. So I would like to offer an approving on consent.
We have consent. Is that good with the colleagues? Yes? Anything from the audience? And I must point out, mark the end of January. You're playing again. Hopefully, you'll be on our team this time. I already went to the audience. Let's take it home. Item number 12 is request to amend the engineering contract through the QBS process with AEW for the design engineering services for the 2025 concrete road maintenance and selective slab program. Mr. Zelensik, just another, but this is selective slab.
Right, 25 locations, but again, I talked about doing Schoolcraft Road as part of that. So we're looking at $800,000 worth of work for this, and approval for design amount of $42,400 for AEW.
So moved.
Consent?
Yeah.
All right, we got consent.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Let's just try to make the meeting a little longer. Yes. Anything from the audience on this item? Seeing none. That pretty much concludes it. I noticed you guys, not to point you out, but do you have? You're hanging out with us. We're just, did you want anything fun out of us?
My daughter.
Yes.
She is a pre-law student in the state.
Cool.
Great.
So what did you think? Was it fun? Well, listen, if you hung out with this, if you need some letters of recommendation, feel free to email us, because for hanging out with us on these long meetings, well done. We'll vouch for you. So let us know.
You can inspire to be that guy right there one day.
Shoot higher than that.
Think again.
Yeah, this one over here, we've got a judge now.
I know. Anything from the audience for just general discussion, other than you just had a good time and hanging out with us? Laura, take us away.
Motion to adjourn.
No motions needed. Good night, Livonia.
You did it, you did so good. I'm so proud of you.